Hey everyone, I hope you are doing well today. Most of you have probably heard the dramas around the Don't Say Gay bill in Florida by now, where Governor Ron Desantis has told every living creature in Florida that if they utter the word gay, even alone in their home, he will personally send Mike, ACDC for the LGBT Pence, to their house to give them conversion therapy on threat of execution. This has resulted in many spirited protests in Florida, simply displaying the word gay, shouting it out, holding signs, with Democrat politicians even putting tape over their mouth with the word gay written on it, in extremely brave protest in the face of such authoritarianism, a bill which would completely outlaw the utterance of the word gay. Oh. Hey there, I'm sorry, you bumped your head for a moment and entered the reality that Democrats are currently living in. It's good to have you back on planet Earth, where Ron DeSantis' Don't Say Gay bill doesn't say a thing about not saying the word gay and is entirely around ensuring parental rights and kids' rights are respected. So, why the hell do so many people believe the word gay is being outlawed? And what does this bill actually say? Well, we will get right into that after a quick thank you to my wonderful sponsor, Noble Gold. The Economist financial newspaper has said the stock market lost over $1 trillion so far this year. You heard that right, $1 trillion. Facebook has fallen out of the top 10 tech stocks, and all of the markets have the jitters. Like you, people are worried, really worried, except those with gold and silver as their backup plan. They know that with a precious metal IRA, they will be fine. Noble Gold has thousands of clients who have safely invested with them. Most heard an ad like this and called the experts. Not a call center, but specialists who will give you your options. And for the month of March, with any qualified IRA above $20K, you will get a 3-ounce silver American Virtue coin or a 5-ounce America the Beautiful silver coin for anything over $50K. You know what to do. Call 877-646-5347 now to find out more or visit noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. All right, welcome back. Firstly, I want to highlight something that is really important, and that is just how damn difficult it can be to find actual policies and bills to read yourself. When I was looking for the Don't Say Gay bill to read, I usually click hyperlinks on the word bill, assuming the hyperlink would lead to the source material for the article or statement, as we've been taught to do in any academic class, journalism class, provide references. But in almost every single mainstream media article I could find talking about this, the hyperlinks all just repeatedly led you to a separate opinion piece on their website on the same topic, but never the source material, thus ensuring you yourself would never actually read said source material, and you just have to take their word for it. And if you don't believe one opinion piece on their site, well, here's another, and another, and another. They're like the Catholic Church pre-Reformation, only they get to dictate information to us. There is absolutely no way we get to see it for ourselves. We just, as the normals, the regular people out here, we couldn't possibly understand it. We need the more educated class to dictate this down to us. I hate journalists so much. Okay, so after some adventurous Googling, I eventually found the actual bill name, which, surprise, surprise, is not called Don't Say Gay, but is actually House Bill 1557, Parental Rights in Education. Sounds a bit more reasonable than the name dubbed by the media, right? This is just step 2 of the media and political class process. First, they ensure you don't get access to the source material, then they rename and redefine it so it's entirely unrecognizable. And in some cases, if the politicians are slimy enough, they'll just give the actual bill itself an entirely different title than its contents and expect you not to find out. I think back to Proposition 47 in California, where Democrats had people vote on a referendum, yes or no, for the Safe Neighborhoods and Schools Act. Spoiler alert, it had absolutely nothing to do with keeping neighborhoods and schools safe, and was entirely based around reclassifying felonies to misdemeanors, therefore releasing more criminals. Politicians truly have the audacity to do these things. And sadly, normal people's faith in the information being dictated down to them still remains to this day somehow, which results in a bunch of people wasting their time protesting bills and proposals that don't even exist and or affect them.
My school had to watch out today because of the Don't Say Gay bill in XL, and this is how it went.
The bill literally does not impact a single person protesting in this video. Not one. Firstly, 90% of this bill should easily be bipartisan. If you outright say, I disagree with everything written here, I'm going to assume you either didn't read it or you're a bit of a creep. Most of it just enacts protections for children from potential abuse by the school system and ensures that parents or advocates can be aware of curriculum, health, and safety information. Pretty benign stuff. Leaving vulnerable people in any institution, whether they be elderly or young, without any transparency or checks and balances for what is happening at said institution is a recipe for disaster. Abuse, both physically, psychologically, brainwashing, whatever it might be, could be rampant when there's no oversight. So I think that it is a wonderful thing that this bill provides protections such as schools must adopt procedures for notifying a student's parent if there is a change in the student's services or monitoring related to the student's mental, emotional, or physical health and well-being, as well as the school's ability to provide a safe and supportive learning environment for said student. So notify the parents if the kid isn't doing well or the environment is unsafe. Restrict schools from creating procedures that specifically seek to prohibit parental notifications for critical information. Seems like a no-brainer. Ensure student support services adhere to guidelines and frameworks established by the Department of Education. Ensure parents are notified of healthcare services offered to their students at school and give them the ability to consent or decline any specific service. Yep, I want that as a parent. Before administering well-being or health forms to students between kindergarten and grade 3, students must have permission from their parents to fill out each survey. All right, I'm going to pause it here because I know there may be some people watching thinking, Lauren, what if teachers are trying to find out if a student is being abused or in duress at their home, and telling the parents about the little survey or quiz about their situation might put that child at risk? Well, while this bill is largely focused on ensuring parents are kept informed about their child's mental, emotional, and physical well-being, as well as anything being done to their child, they have of course thought about and added an exception to this if a reasonably prudent person would believe that disclosure of a child's situation would result in abuse, abandonment, or neglect. So no, these protections are not going to prevent teachers from intervening or protecting a child they feel is being abused. What they will do is ensure teachers can't just act like psychologists, doctors, or researchers using other people's young children and the most personal parts of their life, both physically and mentally, without at the very least getting permission or notifying that child's parents and guardians. Because truth be told, with elementary kids, that's what we're talking about, 4-year-olds to 8-year-olds, teachers should probably stick to just teaching them their times tables, not medical or psychological talks and exams. And that's not to say that some talks about emotions or health aren't necessary. Of course they are. But having transparency with the parents in that process is critical. Until you have a child, it's impossible to comprehend just how different people's parenting styles are, to the point that even just having a teacher guide your child in addressing their emotions can really undermine your own parenting process at home. I personally know a kid in my family friend circle who, whenever confronted about doing something bad or behaviors that genuinely need readjustment, always responds with, "This subject you're bringing up is making me feel uncomfortable. I will not let you violate boundaries like this." Not even talking remotely like an elementary school kid, because these were phrases he had learned from a counselor at school. And it has made it infuriatingly impossible to talk to this child, have conversations with them that are difficult but necessary. And I seriously feel like that sort of language and style of engaging with feelings and emotions is going to ruin this kid's future to a degree. But anyways, at this point, you're probably wondering, what the hell, Lauren? We are like most of the way through your video. You've been talking about this bill dubbed the Don't Say Gay bill, and you haven't mentioned the word gay once. You haven't mentioned being trans or LGBT, whatever it is, any of that. That is because the words gender identity and sexual orientation are only used once in one sentence of this entire bill. And guess what? It doesn't say a thing in here about outlawing the word gay. The word gay isn't even in the document. The whole thing that people are jumping up and down about, it's pure ludicrous shrieking by the hyenas on social media, and apparently elected officials too, sadly. The actual text that people are trying to blow up into something that it isn't says, "Classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through grade 3 or in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students in accordance with state standards." That's it. Remember seeing that crowd of students chanting about how they can say gay? The bill doesn't even remotely apply to them, or their desire to chant gay, gay, gay. You can keep doing that all day long. No one cares. The government don't care. Have at it. This is for kids who are 4 years old to 8 years old. I wouldn't even want teachers talking to my kids about the details of sexual attraction on a hetero level at the age of 5, let alone trans or any other variation. They don't need to be thinking about that. Their concept of relationships, dating, sex, straight or gay, none of that is developed at this point, nor is it even remotely relevant at that stage in life. The bill is not talking about denying discussion about being gay, nor are they even preventing kids from talking about it at any age. It's literally just saying that certain curriculum or conversations should be delayed until a later point that is age appropriate, as we do with literally every subject in schools. We're not talking about denying education about sex to children who are about to go through puberty. In fact, it's not even talking about denying puberty or biology discussions at all. Not telling girls about their periods before they get them, in my opinion, is a crime against humanity. Many of you probably remember one moment in high school where a girl bled through her pants at the gym mat or the bleachers or something. It's freaking traumatic. Being a woman, going through puberty, experiencing things like that. The absolute failure by anyone who didn't educate their daughters on their periods at like age 9 or 10 before it happens, just horrendous stuff, right? Those biology conversations are critical. But even then, if I have a daughter, out of love for her, I would probably delay it until necessary. Because it is a mortifying concept that I remember as a young girl just not even being able to wrap my head around, no matter how much it was talked about, which resulted in this impending doom style feeling until I got it, right? And I gotta say, that's a similar experience for most women that I knew growing up. Whereas before that, before we had those chats, it was just pure bliss as a little kid, running around, catching bugs, not giving two shits about puberty or dating or any of that. Don't take that time away from kids when it's not necessary. Don't. Seriously. Like, that is an incredible time people have in their life, a beautiful time. And you know, at age 11, 12, 13, I can't even remember, that period stuff, puberty, was enough to grapple with. I could not imagine at age 7 even thinking about my sexuality, let alone gender identity, in a fluid way. I was still trying to figure out what the hell it meant to be a human, how to write words with my hands properly, how to not fall on my face with my lanky ass legs. At that point, I don't know how anyone could even figure out a different gender identity at 7 or conceptualize it. You're still in the test driving phase of being whatever gender you were born with. You are in gear 1, still in the parking lot. You haven't taken this car on the road yet. The road being puberty, right? This is no time to start looking at other cars, or you're going to crash this one in the parking lot and there are no refunds. And I feel like anyone out there who wants to claim that they wouldn't be overwhelmed or confused by gender identity lessons in elementary school, being 6 years old, you have to be either a political hack or someone who somehow has no memory of what it was like to be 7 or 6. They look back on themselves delusionally as some sort of child savant, hyper self-aware, kid. I don't know what these people are thinking. And I know there are a lot who will say, whoa, Lauren, if you don't teach kids about certain aspects of sex and sexuality, they will teach themselves. Pornhub will be their teacher if you don't do it. And I get the gist of that argument. I do. Perhaps when you're addressing parents who don't want to talk to their kids about sex at like 12 or 13 years old, But no. Just because a 5 or an 8-year-old may have access to an iPad to play Baby Shark on for 2 hours or mess around on Minecraft does not mean you need to tell them how lesbian scissoring works in case they somehow open that up in a tab, right? Just what kind of logic is that? Well, kid, you're 7 now, you can use Google search, and if you find yourself in the depths of the internet, you'll probably eventually find videos about gerbling or raceplay BDSM. Let's get into the details of how that all works, because maybe you'll be into that one day. And God forbid I not educate you on your potential sexual interests and potential identity as a twink boy bottom. Let's just jump into that all. No. And yes, that is an exaggerated scenario, I hope, but that is where that logic leads. You can find a lot on the internet. Doesn't mean you should talk about it. Doesn't mean you should expose your kid to it all. If your kid has access to a computer, sure, they will probably find porn eventually. That still doesn't mean you need to rush these conversations prematurely. Chances are, if you tell them about it before they were even thinking or knew about it, they're going to go look it up. It's probably better to invest in some good parental internet control software instead. Probably the best approach. Despite our worship of science these days, no one seems to take seriously the many studies that show us clearly people's decision-making and understanding of things is not even fully developed until 25 years old. There is an unbelievable, undeniable mental gap between elementary kids and high school, and people who take it as some sort of offense or affront that certain political or sexual information should not be given to kids in elementary school, should be held back until they can properly process it. Once again, they're either ignorant of how kids' minds work or they understand them perfectly well and want to use them as political pawns. Both people are dangerous to children. So all I really have to say about this is thank goodness for all of those who actually read the bill, who actually understand it, and got it to pass. No matter the amount of uninformed shrieking from the peanut gallery, Desantis may have genuinely saved the wholesomeness and safety of a lot of kids' experiences in education, and I think that's a beautiful thing. And I appreciate all of you people for watching this video, hitting like, commenting, sharing, making sure this information gets out there to so many people who are sorely misinformed about what Desantis is trying to do here. Love you all, and I will chat next time.